Hello and welcome. I'm Freya Swan. Welcome to my YouTube channel and welcome to Wednesday Runes. That is something I've been doing for a couple of weeks now. I'm doing rune readings every Wednesday for my social media communities, and that would be Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, MeWe, and now YouTube. I'd just been typing out so much stuff. I figured when I did the reading itself, it would just be much easier and faster just to make a video rather than type it all out and keep copying and pasting. So what I do is I put up a picture on my social media asking people to select either A, B, or C from the runes. Or yesterday it was Tarot Tuesday, so I had tarot cards out. Tomorrow will be I'm not sure which oracle deck I'm going to use, but it'll be something else. And then I let that sort of sit there all day, and at the end of the day, I do the reading for people. So without further ado, let me pull up my my runes here. These are the runes that I pulled earlier today. So the first one that comes up is Berkana. Now Berkana means birch. It symbolizes new growth, the bud on a tree. It's associated with birth. So in this case, growth, when I look at it, I'm seeing growth that's taking place within the womb. So gestation. Now, this could be literal if you happen to be pregnant, but for most people hearing this is going to be a figurative gestation. So like being pregnant with an idea. So as I'm looking at Berkana in this particular rune pull, I keep hearing the word gestation over and over again rather than birth. So for those who picked this rune today, there's a seed that's been planted in your mind. It's taken root in your heart. There's something you've been itching to do. Something that you know you really, really, really need to be doing. But you talk yourself out of it each time this thought comes up. Every time it comes up, you come up with a litany of excuses or reasons why it can't happen. It's not the right time. It's not the right circumstance. You don't have enough money. You don't have... There's something that's just not right. Whatever it is that you're telling yourself to talk yourself out of pursuing this idea. Something that you have to understand, though, that this idea is not going to go anywhere. This is something that you can't get rid of. You're passionate about it. You're connected to it. And, you know, that you... Just because you don't know how you're going to make it work doesn't mean that this idea is going to leave you alone. Why fight this? Instead, feed it, grow it, protect it. This is part of your life's work. There's meaning here. Part of your destiny is wrapped up in this. Your life purpose, your legacy, what you leave to other people, the memory that you leave behind. Something about this idea is going to survive you. So it is very much like a child. It is very much like something that right now it's sort of gestating. It's in gestation. It hasn't been born yet. I would really strongly encourage you to nurture this idea, not to worry so much about how to make it happen. That's going to come into place. That's going to fall into place. Now, if you can't easily identify what this is, or if you just have nothing comes to mind, or conversely, if you feel like, well, this could be, just about anything. There's many things that this could be, and you just can't settle on one thing, then what I'm going to ask you to do is, when you have a moment, to take a moment, breathe in for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 4. Do that a few times. Get calm. Take a pen and paper and just write the first thing that comes to your mind. that may very well be your answer. That may come very quickly. It may come right away. Or it may take some scribbling. Just keep writing, keep writing, keep writing. And eventually this process takes over and your subconscious will provide you your answer. Now, if that still feels incomplete, you still can't like identify what this idea is, but you've got that sense you're supposed to be doing something. You can't figure out what it is, but you're supposed to be doing something. Let it sit for a few days and come back to this. By doing that exercise of, breathing, centering yourself, and allowing yourself to write, you've already alerted your subconscious mind that you're ready to know what this is, that you want to know what your life's purpose is. And it may end up surfacing on its own. You may have a dream. You may be walking somewhere and all of a sudden, bang, you have it. Or maybe you need to come back to that writing exercise in a few days and try it again. But at this time, it's kind of like, all right, so let me give you this analogy. If you were to plant carrot seeds now, before the ground hardens and they were to overwinter, in the spring when they come up, the carrots are going to be sweeter than the carrots that you plant in the spring and harvest later in the summer. So what you're doing right now is very much the same. You've got this idea, it's planted, flesh that idea out. Be in that planning stage. That's fine. You don't have to act on it right now, but allow this idea to grow with you. Allow it to feed it. You'll be rewarded from it. Okay. Moving on to the next one, urus. So urus means auroch, which was an extinct type of bovine animal, very large, muscular, very powerful. So we're going to be paying attention to issues of health and vitality, physical strength and power. This is a really good time to evaluate your current state of physical health. I'm feeling this when I look at this rune in this particular reading, that for the people who selected this rune, this is the one they were drawn to, that this really applies to your current state of physical health. There could be other ways that urus is interpreted, but this is what's coming through the strongest. So this could include things like diet, exercise, but also sleep quality. There is a need to get stronger. You need to feed yourself. It's kind of interesting. Just thinking about the themes here, because feeding an idea was a big theme from the first group of the first rune that I pulled here. And how now again I'm getting the message of feeding. So this here is a message to feed yourself. So give your physical body what it needs to grow and to heal. So this is going to include both periods of work and periods of rest. Don't neglect the rest. Also, be careful to work with whatever limitations you may have. If, let's say, you work at a desk all day and you rarely, hit the gym and whatnot, you might not want to start off with powerlifting, excessive amounts of weight, or doing like a really intense HIIT workout. Maybe you want to try something like just getting up and going for a walk and just start moving. Maybe doing some yoga or some type of stretching or flexibility, something if you've been sedentary. If you live somewhere that going for a walk is not advisable, or if you've got trouble getting out of the house, maybe there's a lot of stairs, you've got bad knees or some other joint problem or what have you, then don't let that be a limitation. Just pace in your own living room. Just go back and forth if it's one room. You may not be able to go for a walk, but you can probably walk in your apartment or your house or somewhere where you live, even if it's just your room. That may seem a little boring, but for anybody who likes to think things through while they walk, pacing, even at home, can help you sort out lots of thoughts. Let's see what else when I'm looking at this. Yeah, so there's a message here of not to give in, to keep pushing forward. So like if you can't join a gym, there are YouTube videos. They're free, just, as long as you've got internet access. If you can't afford to buy equipment for a full home gym, because going to a gym right now is a little problematic due to the pandemic. So, I don't know, buy a set of resistance bands instead, or maybe, get videos offline, like I mentioned earlier, from YouTube or, any other place where you stream videos. But the point is, regardless of your current health, your current mobility, or whatever your current financial situation is, wherever you're physically located, there are going to be ways around obstacles. There's always something that can be done. If you've got limitations, find workarounds. Obviously, this is an extreme example, but if you're paralyzed, obviously you're not, if you're paralyzed from the waist down, you're not doing leg lifts at the gym, obviously that. But if your arms still work, then you do something there. There is a mindset component to this, but find the workarounds. If you can't think of what that might be, then ask friends for ideas. And once you've got those workarounds, push yourself a little further every day. And then, come back in a month to evaluate. And I want to stress that you're not competing with anyone else. You're only competing with yourself from yesterday, that yesterday version of yourself. Just do a little bit more today than you did yesterday. And other things, other ideas that are sort of flooding through as I look at urus in the context of this reading. Swap out like one snack with something healthier. Drink one more glass of water, or go to bed like 10 minutes earlier each night until you're going to bed an hour earlier. If you don't normally get outside, make a point to get outdoors, even if it's just for 10-15 minutes. If that's not advisable for some reason and you have to travel or drive somewhere to it, well, maybe make that a weekly treat or a bi-weekly treat, whatever it needs to be, just to make it happen. I'd be remiss, however, in not pointing out that we are in the middle of a pandemic. Certain populations are going to be more vulnerable. And if there was ever a time to improve your health, this would be it. So we're about to head into cold and flu season with increased hospitalizations from both influenza and COVID-19. Taking care of your health could mean the difference between intubation or having a mild or even asymptomatic case if you were to get it. So for people who are drawn to this rune, I would exercise greater cautions when out and about right now, as well as spending extra time and extra effort getting healthier and building a stronger immune system. So I hope that's helpful. I don't mean to excessively worry anyone, but just understand that this would be a really good time to improve your health. And I can't help but look at how that may play off of the potential to become ill with this pandemic virus that we have. So hopefully that mitigates things, and hopefully if we are taking our health, at least for the people who pulled this rune, please take some extra precautions so that you don't become ill in the first place. All right. Now the last one, Fehu. Now this means cattle. And cattle was in Old Norse, and if this, this is in Old Germanic. I'm using, I'm using Elder Futhark runes here, and this means cattle. And this was a way of determining wealth, particularly movable wealth. So we're talking about cash and cash flow, as opposed to fixed wealth like real estate. That might be indicated in a different rune, something like Othala. All right, so for those who are drawn to this rune, please look to your finances at this time. Where are you leaking money? What subscriptions are you no longer using that you could cut without noticing any difference to your lifestyle? What nights are you relying on takeout because of a busy schedule where you could opt instead maybe for a make-ahead meal, toss it in the slow cooker or an Instant Pot or something like that? Maybe reheat something in the oven, plan ahead. Try to focus more on having rich experiences that don't cost a lot, like a walk at a state park and a picnic, as opposed to pricey stuff like dinner and, well, I guess dinner and a movie. Maybe movies aren't really happening right now, but an expensive gift or something like that. Look for those experiences, those memories, creating those memories as opposed to collecting stuff. While looking at this rune in the context of this reading, I'm feeling instability, but I also see choices. So I'm going to go ahead and say that for the people who pick this rune, it feels like there's going to be extra expenses, unforeseen expenses, things you didn't plan for, potential income interruptions. That could be from a loss of hours, a loss of job completely, hospitalizations. Could be any number of things. It just might mean maybe you have to take some time off because someone else in your family needs health care or something. But some type of potential income interruption, even if it's just an error on the part of your employer, what that might be. However, the point is, even though there might be some of these unforeseen circumstances, what you do right now can make the difference in how this personally impacts you, or even if it impacts you at all. So if you can just, find a way to potentially increase your income or lower expenses, or better off do both, you would be putting yourself into a much more secure position going into these next few months. I mean, it could also just be a temptation to spend on the holidays. I think right now, with everyone sort of being cooped up, as they will be more so throughout the holiday season, there may be more temptation to splurge on stuff. And I'm going to caution the people who selected this rune to be a bit more discerning with your expenses. And is this an impulse like just to provide comfort during a stressful time? Or is this really an intelligent purchase that you are saving up for and you had planned on doing anyway? If you can take on a side gig, that would be cool. If you can just find some way to get some extra savings, either increase your income or decrease expenses. I mean, it's just math. Something's got to give there. Something else you could do would be to maybe put away a little extra food. Food prices only ever go up. So what you buy today, assuming that it's shelf stable or it's going to go in your freezer and stay there, whatever you buy today is going to be less costly than what you would pay for it months from now, 3 months from now, 6 months from now. It's one of those winning investments, providing that it's something that you wouldn't normally eat, that it's something that you could just keep in rotation in your own pantry at home. So if you can pick up a little bit extra, that will go a long way to giving you a little cushion just in case there's some interruption to your income, over these next few months. So Fehu, yes, it deals with money and cash flow, but it also speaks of responsibility as well as generosity. So how do you put all this together? This is time to be responsible with your cash flow without closing yourself off. You still need to be generous. Just find ways of being generous that do not require lots of financial inputs. Like, if you've got a friend who's down, or maybe they haven't talked to anyone in a while, they've just sort of been distancing. bring them over some baked goods that you know that they like, make it yourself, and, maybe give some of your time and listen to them. Find ways of hanging out with them, maybe teach them a hobby of yours. Build those memories and those rich experiences with them. Be very generous with that, because that doesn't cost anything. So that's the best advice that I can give those who picked Fehu going through in this particular reading, in the context of this reading, is that your finances are not necessarily going to be as secure as you'd like them to be through the next 3 to 6 months. And if you can be as responsible as you possibly can with your cash flow and be generous with your time and get creative in how to create happy, cozy, feel-good memories with those people who are around you. All right, so that's what I have for you this week with Wednesday Runes. Tomorrow, I am thinking about using, let me see, my Magical Herb Oracle cards for, it'll be similar to this, a 3-card pull for that. And I'm going to be working on some videos over the weekend that are more guided meditation and tutorial-like videos. So if you've got any suggestions for things you'd like to see on this channel, please put them in the comments below. I'd greatly appreciate that. Give me a thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much, and I will see you all tomorrow.